Ralph John Regenvanu is a Vanuatuan anthropologist, artist and politician. He has been a member of parliament since September 2008. Was a member of cabinet for most of the period from December 2010 to January 2012 and then from March 2013 to June 2015. And was the director of the Vanuatu National Cultural Council from 1995 until December 2010. He has been a leading figure in Vanuatu's cultural world, primarily as a promoter of cultural knowledge preservation and sustainable development as a researcher, but also, to a lesser extent, as a painter and illustrator. He has represented Vanuatu and its culture in the international sphere, notably through UNESCO. His transition to politics came suddenly in 2008. At a comparatively young age, his successful campaign to be elected to parliament generated popular and media support. As a member of parliament, he sought to publicize his activities and discuss political issues directly with members of the public. He also used his parliamentary allowance to help finance student scholarships and youth business projects. 3 months after his election, he was arrested and charged with aiding prisoners who had escaped from jail. The charges were later dropped. In late 2010, he launched his own political party, shortly before being appointed to cabinet. From December 2017 to April 2020, he served as Vanuatu's Minister for Foreign Affairs, and sought in particular to mobilize the international community in support for the right to self-determination for the people of West Papua. Since April 2020, he has been leader of the opposition in parliament. Ralph was born on the 20th of September 1970 to Dorothy and Sethi Regenvanu at the Colonial War Memorial Hospital in Suva, Fiji. Sethi Regenvanu, born on Malakula, was later to become a prominent politician in post-independence Vanuatu, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Home Affairs in the government of Prime Minister Walter Lini. In the 1980s, Dorothy Regenvanu, born Dorothy Rutter in Australia, is a pastor in the Presbyterian Church. Sethi Regenvanu was in Suva to study at the Pacific Theological College when Ralph, his and Dorothy's first child, was born. Ralph was 3 years old when the family left Fiji to move to Australia. Then back to Vanuatu. Regson Tietz and George Michael Regenvanu studied anthropology, archaeology and development studies at the Australian National University, obtaining an honours degree in development studies in 1991, before becoming curator of the National Museum of Vanuatu. Les Nouvelles Caledoniennes describes him as Vanuatu's first anthropologist. In 1994, he was a founding member of the Pacific Islands Museums Association, and was a member of its inaugural executive board from 1997 to 2009. From 1995 to 2006, he was the director of the Vanuatu Cultural Centre, and was subsequently tasked with overseeing Vanuatu's ongoing Year of the Traditional Economy, in accordance with a government policy which aimed at preserving, maintaining and revitalizing elements of the reviving traditional indigenous economics. In 1992, he helped formulate the Vanuatu Cultural Research Policy, which became effective in 1993 and has been a prominent advocate for the protection of the country's biodiversity. He has advocated the use of customary law as opposed to a legal system derived from British and French models in the juvenile justice sector. He has stated that, although the Constitution recognizes both traditional Melanesian values and Christianity as the basis of contemporary Ni Vanuatu society, the latter tends to overshadow the former. He has attempted to highlight the importance of indigenous customs and their present-day relevance. The Vanuatu Daily Post describes him as a world authority on custom. In 1996, he spearheaded the setting up of Fest Napung, an annual musical festival, described by the Vanuatu Tourism Office as the premier cultural event of the year, and by the Vanuatu Daily Post as one of the major music festivals in the South Pacific. In 2010, the festival lasted 5 days and attracted an audience of over 30,000 people. In the past, it has attracted musicians from New Caledonia, the Solomon Islands, Fiji, West Papua, Easter Island, Papua New Guinea, Australia and New Zealand, and in 2004 it was broadcast live by the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. In 2010, Regenvanu remained active in organising the festival, presiding over the Fest Napung Association, and announcing that that year's theme would be Women in Music, to promote female musicians from around the Pacific and to combat gender bias in the music industry. In 1998, he began working in collaboration with UNESCO as a delegate of Vanuatu and of the Pacific Islands. More generally, since then, he has represented Vanuatu in a number of international conferences. As of 2003, he was Secretary of the Executive Council of the Pacific Islands Museums Association. As of 2007, he was a member of the Advisory Committee of Expo.